Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Real Confessions podcast. I am your host, Ada Ozuna. Happy New Year. Whoa, 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 whoa. So I'm super grateful to be here another year. I'm super happy and excited to see what's in store for me and my brands. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to yet another episode and for just supporting me overall with everything. Thank you guys so much. Literally, I'm grateful. We hit 5,000 downloads on the podcast. That may not be a lot to you, but it's a lot to me, and we celebrate all our milestones. So to celebrate that milestone, we're starting off 2021 with an interview. So this is actually an interview with another entrepreneur. Her name is Mariah. So I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Go ahead and grab your tea, grab your snacks. I'm wishing nothing but love, light, abundance, blessings, positivity to you all for 2021. Make sure to go hard on your crafts. Make sure to go ahead and step out of your comfort zone. So yeah, let me stop talking and let's go ahead and get into this episode. Your real boy. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Real Confessions podcast. I am your host, Ada Ozuna. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. Happy New Year, okay? Like, it's 2021. That is crazy to even say. This is actually my first interview ever with another entrepreneur, so I'm super excited. We have Mariah here. So Mariah is the owner of an online clothing boutique named Hauteheaded, which is a fashion brand dedicated to fearless females. She is also a YouTube content creator as well as a graphic designer for boss babes and entrepreneurs. Mariah, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. My first interview is lit.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super, super excited.
We should probably give like my audience a background on how we met or like
Okay.
how we know each other. So you could go. I talk enough.
Okay. So basically, I'm not sure how Ada found out about me, but I found out about her on YouTube. I'm an entrepreneur as well. So of course, we're always looking at different entrepreneur videos,
Right.
or at least I am.
I am
And
too.
I found her and I was like, oh my God, she's so dope. I love her energy and she was super cool. Plus her brand was dope. So I was just like, this is perfect. Then I followed her on Instagram. And then from there, I think that's when we both were like, oh, hey, I watch your videos. And then,
right.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was so it started from YouTube and then it went to Instagram, and I've been following your brand ever since. Her brand is bomb. Let my audience know before we do go ahead and get into the interview, like where they could find you and where they could shop and stuff.
Okay, so you guys can find me on Instagram at Mariah Vittel, MariahVittel. And then you can also find my brand on Instagram at Shop Hauteheaded, and it's HAUTE and not HOT. Okay.
Okay. So I'm super excited.
Yeah.
So how did you get into entrepreneurship? That's my first question. How did you get into it? What inspired you to become an entrepreneur? Because I did watch your videos and you did talk about how you did work a 9-to-5. So how did you first get into entrepreneurship?
So actually, I thought I would be an entrepreneur like into my late 20s, early 30s. So I didn't expect for me to be in entrepreneurship this early, but it just kind of happened. But back in 2017, I was interning for this celebrity styling company called Très Chic Living, where I was actually looking into being a professional stylist. So that was what I first wanted to do. And after that, it was like, oh, I wanted to be a fashion editor at a magazine.
Right.
So I always wanted to work a corporate job, actually. It just so happened that it started earlier on. But after that, I had kind of saw this girl on Instagram and she had started her own clothing business, and styling for me just wasn't doing it. I just felt like I didn't want to just style people. I wanted to be the creative director. I wanted to design certain things. Yeah. So I was like, I didn't want to limit myself. So I was like, if I have a clothing brand, then I can do all of that and more. So that's when I got into entrepreneurship and I started Hauteheaded.
So when did you start? So how long have you had your brand and when did you start?
So I started back in, what was it? The end of 2018. So I think it was December 15th, 2018. And I've been open since then. So yeah, that's basically when I
Oh,
started.
that's exciting.
Hmm.
So, how has it been? How has like the going from a 9 to 5 to owning your business, like what is how has that shift been for you?
I'm gonna be honest, this is complete transparency. Um, Jumping away from a 9 to 5, when you first make the leap, it feels amazing, but
Mm,
it's you going into a phase of your life that you're kind of like unsure of because you're secure when you have a 9 to 5. But once you
yeah.
jump into entrepreneurship, it's just like, I don't know what's going to happen. So when I first did it, it was pretty easy. But now that I'm months in, I have a little bit of experience. And I
Mm,
can definitely say it's a lot harder than I thought it would be. It's basically you making your own schedule, you self motivating yourself. Like Ada can attest to this. It's a lot of work.
yes, it is.
So it's just different. But I mean, I would suggest anybody who's really into their business to take the leap, but just make sure you're ready and that you know that when you're an entrepreneur, anything can happen.
And that's the thing, like nobody's telling you to do anything. Nobody's telling you, oh my God,
Hmm.
you gotta post, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. You have to be able to, find that motivation within yourself. So what are ways that okay, so what is the harder decision you had to make being an entrepreneur and in business? You feel like you could say.
The hardest decision I feel like I have to make is something I do daily. And honestly, it's to keep going. I think
Mm,
all of us entrepreneurs have to make this decision each day because it's easy to keep going when you're getting sales and people are in love with everything you're dropping.
right.
But every day isn't always going to be a bomb day where you're getting tons of sales. It really takes determination. So I feel like the hardest thing that I have to deal with every day is like to tell myself to keep going,
Right.
basically.
So yeah, that's something that I could definitely definitely there's times where I feel like I want to give up, but
Hmm.
I'm a person that I don't like giving up once I start something. So I feel
Right.
like you have to be able to push yourself and motivate yourself. So that's why I wanted to have another entrepreneur on the podcast so people could know because I talk about this all the time. But it's like, okay, Ada, you keep saying the same thing, but as
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, we could literally all relate to this. Like there are days where we're not motivated, where we're not
Hmm.
inspired. So what are ways that you find inspiration? What are things that motivate and inspire you? And how did you come up with like the concept of hot-headed?
So for starters, the way I motivate myself to keep going is basically looking back to when I first started.
Mm,
So back then you didn't see where you didn't see where you would be now. So it's like when I reach rough patches, I always look back and see that I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but I kept moving forward and look where it's gotten me.
right.
So that's what I use to stay motivated. And then what was the second question?
Oh yeah. So how did you come up with like the concept of hot-headed? Because it's not just a regular clothing brand. Like I love what your brand
Mhm.
stands for. So just tell my audience a little bit more about your clothing brand and how you came up with the concept.
Okay, so I came up from well, the name originated from a magazine. Like as I had previously said, I wanted to be a fashion editor for a long time. So I was into magazines heavy, and there was a spread in the magazine that was titled Hauteheaded, and it was just a brand that had they were selling like luxury hats. Now that wasn't the name of their company, but the person that wrote the article titled it Hot Headed. So I was like, oh my God, that is perfect. I was like so excited. So then after that, I was like, okay, so what's Hot Headed gonna be about? And I just imagined myself and all the transitions of life I went through. So I started
Mm.
off as this bold girl who was really into thrifting, and she just wore all these crazy, fun, funky colors. Okay, Mitch match and all. So that was the first girl. And then Badass, which is another girl I catered to, was when I was like, really edgy with my style, really different. I could rock a heel and I could rock a sneaker and it would both look bomb. And then bougie was when my style started to refine, and it just started to look very much, just it gave a look. Okay. So
Okay.
so basically that's what I came up for the bold, the badass, and the bougie. So those are the three girls I kind of like cater to. So I basically put myself in the brand, and that I think that's what a
Yeah.
lot of people need to do.
Yes.
Is it something that you really want to do? Because I feel like a lot of people just come out with brands and it's like, did you even like have that in your background? So that's basically how the concept of Hot Headed came from, I
And I
guess,
feel like
myself.
also, yeah, I feel like also you have to be able to incorporate your story and your, your
Mm-hmm.
journey in, like, because it's not easy. Like we mentioned before, it's not easy. So I feel like incorporating your story and like being genuine, like I feel like will take you way farther than just
Mm-hmm.
creating a brand that's not. And I could definitely relate. This is why I'm kind of like shifting paths with how, like, where I see my brands. So I could definitely
Mm-hmm.
relate to that.
Because
So
people nowadays, I feel like, really like to get to know the person behind the brand.
yeah,
It's
that's
not just
definitely
about
true.
the clothes, or it's not just about the accessories that you sell. People nowadays like to see who you are behind the brand rather than just purchasing from a company.
Right. And I feel like people actually resonate with like stories and like,
Mm-hmm.
behind the scenes and also just who you are. You don't have to show the behind the scenes, but just who you are as a person. If you're genuine, I feel like people
Mm-hmm.
respect that way more. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So, what is your morning? I know I'm like jumping around and stuff, but like I really
You're
want to
good.
know. I'm like, so I personally don't have like a set morning routine, like a morning ritual. So, what
Me
is your
either.
oh, see, I was about to ask, I was about to ask, what does your morning routine look like? So, when you typically wake
So
up.
So my morning routine has shifted these past couple of weeks, because it's like every time you want to do something new, I feel like it kind of changes. So I've been incorporating exercise into my daily routine,
See, I need to do that.
because yes, from mid to end of 2021, like when Corona, I mean 2020, when Corona hit, I
Mm,
was not working out. So I was like, it's time for me to go ahead and start getting back in shape. So normally I try to work up at like 9:30, 10 now. And then from there, my devotional book is on my end table. So I try to read that. I try to read my affirmations every morning, but it
mm.
depends. It's like a on and off thing. I'll be forgetting sometimes. And then after that, right now I'm reading Think and Grow Rich. You heard of that
Ooh,
book
yeah,
before?
yeah.
Yes.
I didn't finish it, but I started that book.
Mm-hmm. I'm reading that right now. So I try to read that in the morning as well. And then after that, I get my day started. And it's looking like the afternoons is when I work out. But it's not really a set time for anything. It's just
Yeah,
like I try to make sure each day I do these things, but I don't
yeah.
hold it to a certain time all the time.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not very strict when it comes to my morning routine. Usually I do try to do
Mm-hmm.
like something similar. So I wake up, I do pray, I do
Mm-hmm.
I go on YouTube most times and just put like positive affirmations instead of me reading my actual affirmations. Even though I do have like
Okay.
on my background, on my wallpaper, I do have like affirmations there, business affirmations and just personal, but I love listening to them. Like while brushing my teeth, I
Mm-hmm.
listen to positive affirmations. Another thing that I do, I just like sometimes I don't even like, I don't know if you can relate, but I don't like listening to music throughout the day. I personally listen to like,
Really?
yeah, like music with lyrics. Like
Okay.
I love listening to like lo-fi music. I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Oh, okay.
do
Like
you
the
know what
ambiance
yeah.
music.
And they have
Okay,
like
got you.
different type of music like jazz. And but
Mm-hmm.
it's more, I don't know how to explain it, but it's basically instrumental, but it's like cool beats. But I feel like
Right.
with no lyrics, I have like more ability to like think and like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I don't really like listening to
Yeah.
music throughout the day. I feel like especially like
Mm-hmm.
rap music and hip hop, I don't really like doing it while I'm like working and like I don't know, it allows me to like I don't know, it blocks my creativity for some reason. I don't know, it just depends.
Okay.
But
Now for me, I do listen to a little bit of rap, okay? When I when I'm working out, I like to listen to music, but during the
Yeah.
day, I do listen to like those little positive YouTube videos,
Yeah.
but for the most part, I do incorporate music into my daily routine. But I get what you mean because sometimes when the music is playing, I can't think and I'll
Yeah.
pause it
I
and
can't.
finish what it is that I'm trying to do.
Yeah. So I love lo-fi music, and it's just like, I don't know, it's
Mhm.
relaxing. So for entrepreneurship, what are some mistakes that you feel like you've made so far, or like maybe somebody that's an entrepreneur listening can learn from
Um,
throughout the way? Any mistakes that you've made?
One of the biggest mistakes I feel like I've made is underestimating the process. I
Mm,
think this just sums up like everything in my business. Going into entrepreneurship, I feel like it's highlighted as luxurious, and it can be, but it
yeah.
takes way more effort than you assume it to be. So outside looking in, it looks really easy to other people. You're seeing people getting sales, you're seeing people upgrade their life. It looks beautiful until you're in it, and it's still a beautiful thing, but it takes a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and a lot of self evaluation. I've personally, after opening a business, realized a lot of the things that I need to work on. Like
Right.
consistency for me is definitely one of the things in order to be successful, I feel like you need to have. And it's something I struggle with. So I feel
Yeah.
like underestimating the process of owning a business is like what I failed to do, even though I felt like I was so prepared. You can never be as prepared as you
You
think.
can.
I don't know how to explain
And
it.
we talked like off air. We were saying how
Hmm.
entrepreneurship definitely has humbled us because we don't
Definitely.
know like what we thought we knew, you know? It's like a learning process. You have to continue. That's the thing, like invest in resources or invest in,
Hmm.
connecting with other people, connecting with other like-minded individuals because yeah, this is not easy. It's not easy at all. So I definitely feel like I went into entrepreneurship thinking I know it all. Yeah, I'm a
Hmm.
launch, boom, boom, boom. But it's really not. It's really not like that. Like you have to really go through the struggle. And I don't know if you can
Hmm.
relate, but I know.
I can definitely relate.
So, did you have any fear in business, and how did you overcome those fears? If you did have any fears.
Um, I think it's a normality to like have fears in business. But one thing I try to do is I try to like walk by faith and not by sight. It's
Mm,
easier said than done,
definitely.
but I feel like each day you're fearful of something. Oh, I might not get a sale. Oh, it's always going to be something you have fear of. But I feel like as long as you keep going, the fear kind of eases out. But I feel like it's normal to have fear in your everyday entrepreneur journey. It's
Mm.
just as long as you decide to choose faith over fear, I think it works out way better. So that's how I kind of overcome it. Like I said, I look in the past to see how far I've come, and then that just gives me the ammo to keep going.
And I feel like just in life in general, like we have fears. Everybody has fears.
Hmm.
But I just feel like it's a mindset. So
Definitely.
what are some mindset shifts that you have had so far, like being in business, becoming an entrepreneur? Like what are some mindset shifts that you have had?
I definitely believe I had to have a mindset shift with money. I'm the type of person, I love to eat out, so I really think I had to learn sacrifice because just when you own a business, you have to realize like the money that you're getting in the beginning is not yours. So,
Right. I definitely had
yes,
to learn that the hard way too.
one of the first mistakes I had made when I first started was I was spending the money like it was mine. Like, no, it's not. So I quickly had to mindset shift when it had been a time where I wasn't able to get inventory because I had spent the incoming money that I had on something else, relying on the next order to come. So that
Right.
was definitely a mindset shift for me, because money money is, I don't know, money is a mindset in itself, because you have to learn how to multiply it, you have to learn how to save it, and you have to learn how to maintain it. And I'm just, I'm still learning though.
Same. And that's, I don't know. It's like your mindset on money changes like when you have a
Mm-hmm.
business. Because I know when I didn't have a
Yes.
business, I would just spend, because you're gonna have it, you're gonna get it back because you
Mm-hmm.
have a set paycheck. But like with entrepreneurship and owning a business, like it's just that risk. You don't know if you're gonna make that money back. Of course, you're gonna make it back, but you just don't know when. You don't know. You have to really work 10 times harder, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like you already have the cards like stacked up against you. Like when you first start jumping out of your comfort zone and doing something different that other people haven't seen you do, people are already looking at you like you're crazy. So the last thing you need to be doing is spending all your money, and then you got to go like, like people are already looking to you to fail. So the least you could do is believe in yourself and shift the mindset so that you don't fail, not to prove other people wrong, but to prove yourself right, I guess you would say.
Mm.
So
So
yeah.
are you the first entrepreneur in your family?
I'm let's see. There are no, there's other my mom's an entrepreneur. She owns assisted livings and stuff like that. So I think it's kind of shocking that she owns a business, but as soon as I wanted to come out with one, she was like, "Oh no, you need to stay in school." I'm like, "But what about this business though?" So
That's cool though that like you're not the first. See, like I'm one of the first in my family, so it's kind of hard
okay.
to know what to do because there's no
Mhm.
really telling no mentor or guidance. Like my mom does.
Mhm.
Technically, she is an entrepreneur, but she doesn't really take it as serious. So she does like a lot of different stuff. Don't get me wrong, my mom's a hustler,
Mhm.
but doesn't have I don't know how to explain it. It's just like it's not something that like legal
Right,
stuff.
got
Nobody's there
you.
to tell me like how to start LLC. Those are all things that I had to figure out on my own. Nobody really told me. So that's cool that you
Same
have
here
like
though.
really.
That's how I feel about my mom. Well, not exactly. I mean, I feel like me and you, we want to take our business to like large levels. And I don't
Mm,
feel like anybody in my family has done that to where I can relate to them and like ask them for certain questions, you
right.
know?
And I feel like
So
it's
I,
a different time too. Like I feel like
mm-hmm.
they're not into TikTok and Instagram and YouTube
Yes.
like how
Mm-hmm.
so it's like it's a different time. I feel like it's an amazing time actually to start a business, to like step out of your
Mm-hmm.
comfort zone cuz it's like there's so many resources now. I know like you're on
Definitely.
Clubhouse. Clubhouse is like really where it's at. I've gained so
Clubhouse
much.
is amazing.
Yes, I've literally gained so much knowledge on Clubhouse and connected with other entrepreneurs and business owners, 6 figure, 7 figure businesses. And I feel like it's honestly inspiring. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, older people, I guess you could say, like they didn't have any of that. It was just books and like college and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, they definitely have a different mindset than us. But I think once they see how it starts developing, then they kind of like hop on the trend. So I guess it does take everybody some convincing, but I just can't wait to see their faces like 10 years from now when we're like up there. It's going to be
Right.
amazing.
So did you deal with like no support, like so was your family supportive when you first started your business and like friends and stuff?
This is a touchy topic. But I mean, I feel like people were on board for supporting me, but when I when I started my business, I don't really tell people this, but I actually dropped out of college because I realized that college just it didn't teach me anything. I was going to school for fashion, and people would always say, "Well, if you're going to be in fashion, why do you have to go to school for it?" Which is true if you want to be in corporate. But after
Mm,
a while, I just felt like I was wasting money on classes that weren't teaching me anything, when I quickly learned after that life experience is like the best teacher. I'm not
yeah.
trying to tell anyone not to go to school, but I just feel like as time goes on, it's becoming less and less important because the classes just I don't know. So I had ended up dropping out of school to start Hauteheaded because I was so like invested in it. I had saved up money from working at Louis Vuitton, and then I was just like, I think this is it. Um
Ooh, working at
so
Louis
yeah,
Vuitton.
my cousin, I'm not going to say she wasn't supportive, but she was the person that I kind of like looked up to because she worked in corporate for big companies, and she was just expecting me, I feel like, to kind of like walk in her footsteps. So once I like kind of like chose a different lane, it wasn't taken like as easily. So I kind of felt like that wasn't support. But you know, she's very supportive now. My mom has always been supportive, not of me dropping out, but
Right.
eventually starting my own business. As she's seen it grow, she's like really happy about that. But friends are supportive, but I mean, you don't really know if they're all the way supportive because sometimes people have facades and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
just hard deciphering everything.
And
But for the
also
most part,
also 9 times out of 10, like, your family and all that is not really your target audience, but it's good to have, like,
for
that support.
sure.
It's good to have, like, that
Mm-hmm.
support and that, yeah, like, "Yeah, you doing good, keep going." I feel like, I love when I have like, my mom's, she's very supportive. She actually does help me, like, pack and ship my orders, so I'm, like, grateful for that. But, yeah, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's good to have that support, and I actually dropped out too. I used to go to college for
Really?
yeah,
OMG.
I used to go to college for criminal justice, and I ended up doing like 1 to 2 it was just mm-mm. Like I was and look, like I used to love and I still do, but like not anymore, like law enforcement and stuff like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was obsessed with like How to Get Away with Murder and Law and Order and
Right.
all of that. Like those are literally my favorite shows, and I wanted to become a lawyer or a police officer. Like I wanted to be in the FBI. Like those are things that I wanted to do. I was really passionate about that. I even contemplated going to like the army.
Oh,
But yeah,
wow.
but it was just like I don't know. It wasn't for me. Maybe the college I went to or something like, and maybe in the
That's what I keep
future,
saying.
maybe in the future, like I'll go to college, maybe for like business or something. But everybody that goes to college for marketing and business, they say that it's not worth it, or like they
Mm-hmm.
say they don't learn much. But I guess it just depends. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the school and the major. Because if I would have went to school in New York, I feel like it would have been a completely
Yeah.
different outcome rather than the school I had went to. But I mean,
So
it just wasn't meant to be.
where are you originally from?
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I went to a school called University of Maryland Eastern Shore.
Mm.
It was cool, but it just didn't give me what I needed from a fashion program. So I just was like, I'm out.
So where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now? Like what's the vision with your brands and like with you? Do you see yourself living in Maryland like forever?
No, I definitely see myself going somewhere else. It's always been for me like New York City or California, and recently Atlanta.
Mm,
So I'm trying to figure out like where I would want to go. But right now I'm just trying to make sure I like get my brand like intact so that by time I leave, I'm all settled. But from 5 to 10 years from now, I definitely see myself have expanded Hauteheaded in ways that I can't even imagine right now.
right.
I definitely see myself having a warehouse and different stuff like that. And since I want to grow like a multi-million-dollar business, I know that everything is long term, like, like 20 years from now,
Right.
like Fashion Nova, Forever 21, they didn't get built overnight. So I
Mm-mm.
know if I want to be on that level, then it definitely takes time. So I definitely see expansion, warehouses, different events and stuff like that. I would love to do like an event like how BeautyCon and stuff. I think that is so
Yes.
dope.
Yeah.
So
That'd be lit.
different stuff like that.
So what would you say like
Wait, what about you? I'm curious.
my vision?
Mm-hmm.
See, now you interviewing me. So my vision, I want to honestly like I just see it's just so many things that I want to do. That's the thing. Like I love speaking. So I personally see myself speaking at like big events
Mhm.
uh with like successful people at successful people that I look up to, on the
Mhm.
panels and like inspiring millions of people, doing like retreats, things like that. Like I see
Mhm.
myself doing retreats, helping other people cuz I feel like I battle with a lot of things mentally, so like
Mhm.
maybe helping other female entrepreneurs or even moms, that are into entrepreneurship, helping them as well, like battle with, mental health issues and just, loving themselves. Cause I feel like it's a journey. Entrepreneurship, yes, it's all about business, but I feel like it's more than that. It's like you have to be able to
Mhm.
do the inner work. So I see myself, talking on panels. I see myself having a warehouse, having an office. I literally on my lock screen, I already could picture, like I took a screenshot of somebody's office, but like I could already picture how my office is gonna look like. I can see
Mhm.
myself just owning multiple businesses. I don't only see myself owning one businesses. I could see myself
Agreed.
investing into like stocks and stuff. Even though I don't know nothing about that, but I could see myself doing that. I could just because I'm a person like I want to have multiple ways, multiple streams
Yeah.
of income. But yeah, for the most part, I just see myself inspiring millions of people and like getting paid to do it, not just doing it for free, but getting paid to
Mhm.
actually do like what I love. And yeah, so I feel like there's a lot more that I see, but I feel like it's all on God, to be honest. Like He's the one in control. So sometimes
Mhm.
we may want something, but like, for example, me, I thought that I was going to go to school. I'd even expect to have a baby at a young age, but boom, it happened. But
Mhm.
you have to learn how to pivot. So I feel like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a lot of obstacles that come with life and like business, but I feel like you have to, like you mentioned in the DMs, you said that you have to learn how to pivot instead of like quitting. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's
Oh, that was beautiful. I was inspired.
but I feel like yeah, it's like important to have a vision and have goals written down. So for
Mhm.
2021, what is something that you're working on, or like you don't have to say like your plan, like your business plans, but what is something that you, besides consistency? I know you said consistency. So what
Mhm.
is something that you're working on for 2021?
Well, I'm looking at my vision board as we speak in the corner. So, one thing that I definitely want to do is like be debt free so that I
Yes,
could
yes, yes.
really invest in, eventually getting an apartment and really expanding my life. I feel like with debt in the way, it kind of like takes away
Crippling.
from that.
Yeah.
Yes. So I definitely want to, pay off my student loans. Other than
Yes.
that, just like what you said, I do want to be like a guest speaker on a panel. um and then I also want to like launch a like virtual course for entrepreneurs and girl
Yes.
bosses. I'm
Mhm.
still planning that out, so I don't have like everything set up, but as well as like formulating meaningful friendships with people, because I feel like as you grow in life, you also want to have other people that are on that same wavelength as you. So,
Yes.
like me and you talking, you're like a super positive person, and me and you get along really well. So, I feel like as you elevate yourself, you attract people who are also doing really amazing things. So, that's what I want to continue to do. Like, creating meaningful like relationships and different stuff like that. And then I feel like sponsorships, whatever, I don't know what exactly I want to be sponsored with, but I think sponsorships would be dope. I don't know
literally
yet, but
literally same. I don't know nothing about. I just want to see, that's the thing. I can't see myself promoting something I'm not completely
agreed.
passionate about. Like I want to be
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I want to be passionate about, whoever's sponsoring me. But that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how sponsorships work. And it's crazy because we're like in the YouTube world and like all that, but
Yeah.
I don't know how that should work. But I feel like as you, like you were saying, like as you grow, and that's crazy because the people that you do connect with, you realize that you can relate so much. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like that's what it's all about. Like you have to be able to connect with other people. I actually see myself having like some type of like mentorship program, like, as
Mm-hmm.
as I obviously I don't know it all, but as I keep learning and growing and starting other businesses and stuff, like I could see myself having some type of mentorship program or a community where people can come together and like drop gems. I could drop gems. I could help you guys out and just, yeah, I could see myself doing that too.
Mm-hmm. We're getting there. We're on our way.
Right. But I feel like it's all about just trusting the process. So how do you balance like your business and life? How do you find that balance?
For me, I love planners. So I try to like each night, I try to write down what I want to do the next day because I was listening to this sermon by TD Jakes and he was like basically saying, how are you going to start the day off when you don't have anything set out for you to do? That's the quickest way for failure.
Ooh,
So what I do is the
damn.
at nighttime at nighttime, I plan out basically what I want to get done. Now, it might not always get done,
Right.
but at least I have a plan set out for what I want to do because I have a lot of ideas rolling around in my head. And if I
Hmm.
don't write it down, it's not gonna get done.
Right. And like that's another thing. You have to be willing to like accept, you have to like accept that not everything's going to get done. I feel like in
Mm-hmm.
the beginning I definitely would be hard on myself, like, oh my God, I didn't get this done and like I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing all things wrong. But it's like you have to be willing to accept that not everything is going to get done, especially if you're like a mom or you have other things going on. I know people do have like 9 to 5s or whatever. Like being an entrepreneur is not their full-time thing, but you have to be willing to accept that not everything is going to be done in a day. What are 3 things that you feel like any entrepreneur should know when starting their business or maybe in business? Any life lessons or like mindset?
Um I would definitely say if there's anybody looking into entrepreneurship, definitely have like a clear vision and a message behind your brand when you're first starting out. With a lot of people that come to me and seek advice and stuff like that, you can ask them, oh, well, what's your target audience? What's your brand colors? Pink. Like, what? Like, you can't just have one color. It's probably like a secondary, a primary. Like, you get what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
also, as a graphic designer, I've had people reach out to me and they say, oh, just use whatever color you want. Or what do you think? I'm like, what, you can't allow someone to completely create your vision.
Right.
So you just really have to go in and have a clear vision and a message behind your brand so that other people can't shift what it is that you're trying to create, and just so that you can better create it to the people. So before you do anything, definitely have that set out. And then that also leads me to my second one is like, don't take on someone else's dream. And what I mean by this is we are all influenced by people on social media,
Mm,
but something just might not be for you. Yes, if you see someone else doing something and you're interested in doing it, try it out. But
right.
understand, like, if you've never worn lashes, if you've never worn lip gloss, if you're not into clothing, why would you start a business with that? So I would say definitely look inward and find out what is it that I'm really passionate about, and start it from there. So definitely don't take on someone else's dream. Invest in yourself and figure out what it is that you're really passionate about, and then do that. And then the last one would be, don't give up too early. I feel like this is something everybody can really take in, because a lot of the times we're right there before the goal.
Right.
Like, it's, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. And it could be the day that you give up, the next day is meant to be the day God says, I was about to give you that gift. So I would definitely say just don't give up too early, keep pushing, and realize that you're closer than you think you are. That's what I
Mm.
think a lot of us need to realize.
And like, so for someone that may not know what they're passionate about, what,
Mm-hmm.
um, how do I ask this question? What are some tips that you would give in order for them to like, how do they know they're passionate about something?
So I feel like there's always little signs when you're younger. Like, some people might tell you, oh, you're great at this, but you've always noticed that you're always looking at this type of magazine,
Mm.
or when you see something, it really clicks with you. Like, I feel like digging deeper into our childhood before we were influenced by others, this is getting
Yeah.
a little deep, but I feel like really looking back into our childhood and seeing what it is that you were really passionate about and what it is that you really enjoyed is how you can better figure it out. Now, I don't know all the answers, but I feel like
Yeah.
that could help.
Mm. That was the and that's the thing, it's crazy because even as a child we were influenced. So it's like, hold
Hmm.
on, how far
That's true.
back do I gotta think?
That's true.
Because it's like basically we're influenced either by our parents, by
Hmm.
other, people at school, TV. So it's like I don't know if there was any time where maybe you're not influenced.
Or I feel like God put certain influences in your face for a reason. I guess maybe that,
Mm,
like, he puts us all in situations, or he puts either that person that does this really well, or that cousin
yeah,
that you've always looked
that
up to.
inspires you to, yeah.
Yes. So
I
I
feel like
feel like
mhm,
that.
definitely. Do
Yeah.
you ever feel like vanity metrics hold you back from creating the content that you do want to create?
Vanity metrics. What is that?
Like
I know what vanity and metrics is, but together?
so vanity metrics is basically like likes, comments, shares,
Oh.
subscribers. Like when for example, like you post a video and you see that you only get 5 likes. Does that discourage
Hmm.
you to actually create content that you're passionate about or no?
I don't think it discourages me to create content that I'm passionate about. I definitely think it makes me analyze, like, what it is that I could have done better. Because at the end of the day, I do also know, like, if you want to grow, you
Mm,
also have to be able to appeal to the masses. I'm not saying like completely not do what it is that you want to do, but I do try to analyze it. Well, how can I do this better the next time? How can I make a better title? But I definitely feel like going into 2021, I definitely want to be even more of myself and not worry about what likes I'm not going to get. Because, like you had said before, people will eventually catch on. Like, the people that
mhm.
are meant to go with you to the next stage will catch on and will either be interested or not. So I try not to worry about the likes and stuff like that, even though I do try to analyze what it is that I can do better. But 2021 is definitely going to be like me being more of me.
Yeah. And for me, honestly, 2020, at the end of 2020, I definitely because at the beginning of 2020, I was doing a lot of business content. And in reality, I did want to do business content, but I wanted to do more of like self-improvement and like things that, like the podcast. And I
Hmm.
was kind of like scared too. And then at the end, I started actually being myself. I started the podcast. I started talking about topics and being more transparent. And I feel like when you're more transparent, when you're more real about your journey, you attract, that
Hmm.
audience. You attract people that are interested in that. So I feel like being yourself like is definitely important to just be yourself. But one thing that I always get is that people don't, like, for example, I want to start my YouTube channel, but I'm scared people are not going to watch. Or maybe somebody actually reached out to me saying they did have a YouTube channel and they put out videos but nobody views. So that's why I did ask that question, like, how do you deal with maybe not getting the amount of views you wanted when it comes
Hmm.
to like your videos? So maybe somebody listening could benefit from that.
Gary Vaynerchuk?
Gary V, I love Gary.
Girl, I love him. He gives it to you real
Mm-hmm.
deal, no filter.
Stop
And
caring
he
about what people
really,
think.
that's basically it. Literally, just stop caring about what people think and put out content for the people. Because I feel like
Hmm.
a lot of times people put out content to get something back instead of putting something out just to give and then being happy when the reward comes. So I
Right.
feel like as a society, we all probably need to shift that mindset a little bit, because with social media, they kind of make it like you have to be worried about the likes and
Hmm.
the follows and stuff. So
For sure. I feel like just provide value, and like people are
Mm-hmm.
eventually gonna I mean, of course, there's going to be people that don't give you credit when due, but at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, like people, when people see that that you're providing value, that you're helping them out, like people support you way more. But I definitely feel like in the beginning, I did care a lot about what people had to say. I know that for
Mm-hmm.
me, like when I first started my YouTube channel, I was like, oh my God, like what if? And I feel like it led into like perfectionism, and then perfectionism leads into procrastination, and then
Oh,
procrastination
girl.
leads to not posting at all. So I definitely feel
Yes.
like it all begins with not, you have to like kind of dismiss that thought of like, oh my God, like what if they care, what if they don't care? So how do you
Mm-hmm.
deal with procrastination? Like I'm still dealing with that shit.
Agree. I'm still dealing with it too. I just feel like the more your plate builds up, the more you kind of like feel like you have so much to do. That's why I guess it's better to like break things down, because if you look at it as a whole, you're automatically like overwhelmed. But I still deal with procrastination. But what I feel like is helping me more is once you get good at doing one thing and being disciplined in one thing, then it helps you in other areas. So, like for me, I'm starting to work out. I'm trying to work out every day.
Mm.
So, I mean, it hasn't been long, but the past 3 days have been going very swift. So, I feel like if I keep on these next 2 weeks, like I'm saying, it will help me to be more disciplined in every other area. So I feel like if you tackle one area, it'll kind of lead into other stuff, if that makes sense.
And they say like suppose it takes 30 days to build a habit or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like I don't know, like that is actually, when it comes to discipline, like that's actually not, it's not as easy as people make it seem. Like discipline is really not easy. And it really
Mm-hmm.
takes like, I feel like it takes like you have to be able to, every day you have to be able to self-improve and self-develop, because discipline is something that I kind of still do struggle with, because I feel like my procrastination does get the best of me. But yeah, like what are ways that you remain like disciplined?
Um, I have alarms for things. So when the alarm goes off, I try to make sure that I get up and do whatever it is that I'm trying to do. But then I also have like a second alarm. So I'm being so real right now. I also have a second alarm that when that alarm does not work, it's like, okay, now is the time. So, like, I literally have things on my wall that say, well, you must not want it enough. Like,
Mm,
sometimes you really do have to pep talk yourself,
yeah.
because you have to be real with yourself. Like, if you saying you want all these things in life, it's just not going to work for you to procrastinate.
Mhm.
You haven't built yourself up enough to the point where you have that luxury. So
Right.
like I always say, like right now on my board, I have focus on truly trusting me. When I give you the signal, you must move. And I'm saying that's a message from God. So that's my message for
Ooh.
January. So
Mhm.
it's like when God tells you to move, it's time now. Like you can't keep waiting, because yes, God doesn't take things that are meant to be for you from you, but he can definitely prolong your process and give the blessing that you asked for to somebody else and let you watch, just to
Ooh.
show you like, I need you to be a moving follower. You're supposed to impact other people. So if you're not moving, how am I getting my message out? So that's just basically how I look at it, because nothing that we do is just meant for us. Everything we do is meant to impact someone else's life. So, me
Mm.
procrastinating is honestly putting somebody else back. You know what I'm saying? I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain
Nah, you definitely made sense and
it.
definitely put me in. But I literally do talk to myself. Like, I'll talk to myself in the mirror, like I'm talking to a friend. I'll be like, Ada, like, come on,
Mm-hmm.
like, you got this. You have a lot of things that you want to achieve. You have a lot of goals. You have a vision, and you have to get to work. And like, it actually does help talking to yourself and like being hard with yourself and self reflecting on what it's something that I did. I journal. Um, not only do I journal my thoughts, but I also journal like what I did wrong in business and what I could do better. I feel like in order for you to really grow, you have to be able to, like you said, keep it real with yourself. A lot of people are like they're in denial like
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to accept that, you have to be able to be transparent with your mistakes. Not only I feel like to me it helps me to be transparent with my mistakes and stuff, like, with my platform. So it kind of like holds me accountable. It helps me like be real with myself even more. Of course, before I share with others, I got to make sure to share it with myself first. So I write everything down and see where I went wrong, see what I could do better, my lessons, my mistakes, and then I share with somebody else. So then you can help
Mm-hmm.
somebody. Maybe they won't make the same mistakes.
So like, is that like an accountability partner?
Yeah, but like with myself, I
Okay.
definitely did. I had an account. I actually did have an accountability partner, and then it just, I guess,
It,
fell off.
it
But
sizzled.
yeah,
That
it fell.
always happens. I had one too. It did not work after a while.
Nah, it works at first, but I don't know. I feel like you can be your own accountability partner. Just write down.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be real with yourself, and this kind of goes into like shadow work. So you have to write down, and sometimes it's hard to like tell yourself what it is that you did do wrong, what you're not
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be doing. It is kind of like, oh, it like tugs my heart because it's like most of the time we don't want to be real with ourselves. We want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we're doing everything perfect, but you have to be real. You have to accept that you're not perfect, accept that
Mm-hmm.
you're going to fall, accept that you're going to fail, but at the end of the day, those are just lessons. And like I feel like something with the entrepreneurship worlds, a lot of people aren't transparent about like what they actually go through. Do you agree?
I definitely agree. I feel like people always say Instagram is like the highlight reels of
Mm,
everybody's life. You don't really know what people are going through, which which is like I feel like is very real. Everybody's not going to post everything they're going through.
right.
So you have to realize that your life could be just as the same as theirs. So you can't compare the two.
And something that I've learned is, I mean, be transparent, but also I've learned to not overshare. I know with me doing YouTube,
Mm,
with me doing YouTube and stuff, like I love sharing, I love being transparent and helping other people. But I also learned that not everybody watching you loves you and supports you. There's the other
mm-hmm.
people watching you too. So I feel like learn like to set boundaries, and that's something that I'm working on for 2021 is to continue setting
Mm-hmm.
boundaries because I feel like that's important. I learned to not overshare because it's certain stuff that you should just keep to yourself.
Agreed. I feel like I'm one of those people like that. If I feel like you're a good person, I do share.
Yeah.
And then I've also had to learn in the past, like everybody's heart isn't like yours. And it
Hmm.
sucks because if you're a genuine person, you kind of expect that from other people. But you quickly realize that everybody isn't as genuine as you are. And a small conversation can lead to completely something else. So I definitely agree with that too.
So we're in the new year finally, even though it's crazy to say. So 2021 is going to be an amazing year. But what is something that 2020, the past year, what is something that it has taught you?
2020 definitely taught me a lot about myself. So I figured out the things that I'm really amazing at, and then I figured out a lot of the things that I need to work on that will ultimately be what determines my success. So I learned in 2020 that kind of like life is what you make it.
Hmm.
um you really have to create your future. Everything depends on you. Nobody's going to hold your hand completely. I mean, God is, in the faith that you have in whatever vision he gave you, but in the end you still have to do work on your end to actually materialize it and make life what it is that you want it to be. So 2020 has taught me to really dig deep within myself and figure out the things that are holding me back and to be able to transform them so that I could have a brighter future. Because I know with hanging on
Ooh.
to things like inconsistency, it's just not sustainable. I'm not going to be able to be successful off of being inconsistent. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, I guess that's what 2020 basically taught me.
So, what is something that you're going to take into 2021 from that you've learned? Besides, of course, like you were being consistent, but from like everything that you've learned about yourself, what are things that you're going to take into 2021 to help you accomplish your goals?
So every year I try to think of like a slogan or a word that will help me in my time of need or help me to figure out where I'm going in that year. So for 2020, it was pivot. And for 2021, it's get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So basically, it's just me taking more risks, not being afraid to take leaps when I
Mm,
feel like I should, and ultimately realizing that every step you take isn't always going to be the best one, or it's not always going to be the right one in your book. But as long as you take those steps, I feel like that's all that really matters because it was a learning process rather than you not taking the step at all. So definitely getting comfortable with being uncomfortable would be what I'll be doing in 2021 to reach success.
nice. That was lit.
Period.
That was good. Nah, I'm definitely learning to take more. Of course, being an entrepreneur, starting a business, that's already a risk, but it doesn't stop there. Like, I'm definitely learning that, yeah, I have to learn how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it's definitely something that with entrepreneurship, I feel like I became more anxious. I don't know if you can relate to that, like being more
Mm-hmm.
anxious. Yeah, I'm like very anxious about like I don't know. It's just because it's the uncertain. Like for me, it's the uncertainty. Like it's not guaranteed. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like my anxiety. I feel like I've dealt with that already before, but my anxiety has definitely been through the roof. So how do you deal with mental health with entrepreneurship?
Um, I feel like understanding that it's okay to cry. For me, I always try to be like, oh, I'm so strong. I don't let anyone see me cry. But like, I feel like it's okay to show emotion. It's okay to not be okay. I just think the one thing that helps is understanding that you can't stay there forever. And that's something that I've had to work on throughout the years, not being stuck in the past of the decisions that you could have made better and different stuff
Yeah.
like that.
What is something that you feel like is lacking in like the business world, entrepreneurship world, and like the industry that people should talk about or people should do?
I feel like what's lacking right now is originality.
Ooh.
Like I would love for a lot of people to come. You said, "Ooh," I would really love for people to like start coming out with some bomb stuff. Like we were talking about Clubhouse. Clubhouse is new, and I didn't even expect anything after Instagram to come out for a couple more years.
Right. That was
So
innovative and creative.
yes. Mm-hmm. So it's just like I feel like everybody coming out with something different and something that they're really passionate about. Because I feel like the more passionate you are about something, the more creative it is.
Mm,
So I just feel like originality is lacking, which is why I started Hauteheaded because even though it is a clothing brand, um and there are a lot of other boutiques out there, it's
right.
like I'm still developing the brand, so the vision might not be very clear to everyone else. But how did it isn't just about clothing, it's about confidence,
Mm,
it's about like being yourself and individuality. I feel like bringing your uniqueness out and expressing it through clothing on the outside. So
yes.
that's what I'm trying to do. It might not be very apparent yet, but it's coming there. So basically that. What do you think is
I feel like you
lacking?
gotta trust the vision. Something that I feel like is lacking would have to be, I feel like, hmm, transparency. Definitely
Mhm.
transparency. Like people make it seem, even though like we talked about before, people of course aren't going to tell you. I know damn well. I feel like what's lacking is like transparency. So I feel like a lot of people aren't
Mm-hmm.
really real and transparent about what really goes on behind the scenes. And of course, setting boundaries is important and not letting, basically not saying everything and letting people know everything. But I feel like transparency is definitely lacking because there's more to business than just sales and branding
Mm-hmm.
and marketing. It's a lot behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know. So I feel like that's definitely something that's lacking. We should be more transparent and like build a community. That's, I mean, and now it's bigger. I feel like that's not lacking in business or like entrepreneurship. I feel like community is now, we have apps like Clubhouse, Instagram, we have a lot of mentorship programs, but I feel like transparency is, I don't know, it's definitely lacking, but I see people now being more transparent and open about their businesses. So I wouldn't say it's lacking, but I feel like people aren't as transparent as they should be about certain things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. I can only imagine if like there were big influencers and big brand owners that came out and really showed us like what it was like behind the scenes, like whether they got sales that day or they didn't,
Hmm.
how it would change a lot of people's perception on like owning a business.
And I feel like I actually seen a girl, she posted a video saying that for Black Friday, she bought a whole bunch of inventory and stuff. And she said that she didn't sell not one thing. She said she wasn't going to post it, but she wanted to be transparent about it and
Oh my God.
show other people that, like, it's not always what it seems
It
like.
seems.
Yeah. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I really love that. I forget her name. I forget her brand name, but I really
Oh,
love.
she's very bold for that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, oftentimes, and I could relate, oftentimes we don't wanna show our failures and struggles because, our pride. But
Yeah.
sometimes, like, sometimes it's good to set your pride aside and, showcase. Yeah, but, like, yeah, I really did respect her for that video because that was something that I don't know if I would be able to say that I
Yeah,
didn't
I don't
sell.
know if I would be able to either. She is that is bold for real.
Yeah, but I'm sure that after that she did get sales just for like the honesty and transparency. So I feel like
Mhm.
I'm definitely focusing on being more transparent with my audience and letting them know that I'm a human too, because I feel like oftentimes we see brands, we see accounts, but we're forgetting that it's a human behind the account. Like,
Mhm.
it's not a robot, it's not, unless you hire people and stuff, but 9 times out of 10, the person like behind the account is the owner. Obviously,
Right.
the bigger brands, whatever, they hire people, content creators, but I feel like when it comes to, smaller businesses or growing businesses, 9 times out of 10 is them posting. So I feel like people need to remember that we're human at the end of the day. Business owners, most of the time, like, as they're starting off, is one person. But yeah, I definitely see myself hiring out. I just can't wait for that where I could finally hire and, like, have help, because I feel like it's a lot. Being an entrepreneur, I
Mhm.
definitely realize that you have to wear a lot of freaking hats. A lot of hats. You have to do a lot of things.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you have to be able to know how to do everything before you hire out. So I feel like it's good that we're getting like that experience, and
Experience. Yeah.
yeah, that we're getting that experience and, that hands-on. But I just can't wait. I see myself already like having employees and yeah,
Me
the
too. I think it's
vision.
going to be fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, but I feel like it's gonna be even harder because you're like showing other people how to do what you do. And I don't know if
Yep.
you're like this, but I'm picky as hell. I'm very
Very
picky.
me too, girl.
I'm very picky. So I feel like it's going to be even harder. So that's something that with life and business, like as you grow, people think it's going to get easier. Oh, yeah, you're going to hire people. But it gets harder because you got to train those people. You got to have money to pay the people. You got to,
Mhm.
like, it's like more work. So when people do say like more money, more problems, I feel like it's definitely
Mhm.
true. And like, of course, when I didn't have a business and when I wasn't like open minded about money and all that, I'd be like, what problems could they possibly have? I thought like that, like, because I didn't grow up having like that, like so much money. Like my family, they're not rich or anything. So I
Mhm.
would look at celebrities and be like, they would say like money doesn't buy happiness and stuff. I'm like, man, yes it do. Cause with a whole bunch of cause with a whole bunch of money, like, but in reality, like I've like as I'm growing my business and getting money and things like that, obviously I'm not rich, but I
Mm-hmm.
have more money than basically I'm making my own money. So it's like
Right.
I'm now realizing that money isn't really the how do I say this? Isn't really the answer to all the problems. At the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, like you could have I listen to podcasts and listen to a whole bunch of successful people talking about how they wanted to commit suicide and they wanted to give up, and a lot of you see celebrities are on drugs and all this stuff. It's because they're not
Mm-hmm.
truly happy within themselves. So I feel like as you grow, like you have to be able to just keep doing that inner work, because I don't know, as you grow, it's like you become more and more, like you lose more and more people and like so a
Mm-hmm.
lot of problems. I don't know if you like understand what I'm saying, but I definitely
No,
feel
I
like
get it.
so. Yeah, anything that you would like to add to my audience before we do go ahead and end it?
Just to piggyback off what you had just said, I definitely think like for 2021, my mindset is because you said 2021, you're definitely just going to push yourself even harder. And I
Hmm.
definitely feel the same way because I'm thinking of it as if not now, then when. So
Hmm.
it's like you can't keep pushing it off and, oh, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I feel like that's been my how I've operated in previous years. Maybe not 2020, but previous years before that, I definitely was in that kind of phase of, oh, I'll get it done tomorrow. Whatever it is that you want to do, definitely just start it now. Get it done today because you're literally setting yourself up for months and years to come. When you start tomorrow, you're setting yourself up for like you're genuinely just pushing yourself back, I feel like.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
just start now because I mean, you're going to have to start soon, honey. You're just prolonging the process.
Right.
So,
And if there's anything that like these past years taught us is that life like literally flies by. Like it's crazy.
mhm.
Like the other day, like it's crazy like to see like I'll look at my memories and like pictures and stuff, and it's crazy to like I'm literally getting older every year. Like it's crazy to think that
Yes.
like life is literally flying by. So I feel like
I can't believe I'm
just
23.
right. I just can't. And it's crazy. And like you have to keep evolving and growing, and yeah, time is just it flies by. So I feel like I rather live life knowing that I'm doing something that I want to do rather than dang I
Mhm.
should have, because I know I have family members that they're like dang I wish I would have did this when I was your age. But it's like you can, you still can, like it's never too late to start and it's never too early to start. So I feel like just keep going, start, and stop overthinking. Something that I did in the beginning was prolong like my
Mhm.
launch process. I'm like, oh no, this I gotta have this and this color and this packaging and this logo. But it's like all of that really doesn't matter at the end of the day because your brand grows as you grow. And that's
Mhm.
something that I had to remind myself that like where my brand is now is not how it's going to be 5 to 10 years from now, because
Mhm.
as I grow, and this is where self development comes in, because if I don't grow, my brand is not going to grow. So I feel like this is also where you have to go ahead and invest in yourself. I'm learning now, like, free information can only take me so far. Like, I feel like I
Mhm.
can't just watch YouTube videos and Google stuff for the rest of my life, because at the end of
Mhm.
the day, like, people don't put everything out there for you to you know, learn from. I'm going to, for 2021, invest more into myself. And that may be in, therapy or mentors or, courses or whatever. But I'm going to invest into myself because I want my future self. I want to be able for my future self to be proud of,
Yeah.
my present self. Like, I just want to be
Yeah.
proud. And I feel like, yeah, that's my motivation. Like, me evolving and growing, but also my son. That's my motivation. So this is the last question, but what is something that's motivating you to keep going?
Um what's motivating me to keep going is that I don't know how to say it, but kind of like I was right all along. Like
Mm,
you really I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like when you start something, you just like, I know this is going to be successful. I don't know when, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how, but I'm going to make this a success. So I feel like what's motivating me is what's to come still.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what there is to come, but I know that, like,
Something
let's
big.
just say, yeah, let's just say Hauteheaded. Maybe I'm not putting this out to the universe, but let's just say 5 years from now, Hauteheaded closed down. And then I started another company that was my multi-million-dollar company. If I never started Hauteheaded, I wouldn't have got to that. So that's how I
Mm-hmm.
kind of look at it. Obviously, I want Hauteheaded to be one of the businesses that grows into a multi-million-dollar company. But I'm just saying everything is a stepping stone to the
Mm-hmm.
big picture. So really just proving myself right and proving to myself that I could do it all along. So that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. So this was a great talk. Thank you for coming
It
onto the
was.
podcast. Let my audience know where they can follow you, where they can shop, and anything new that you have coming up. But go ahead and let them know.
Okay, so you guys can follow me on Instagram at Mariah Vittel, and you can also follow my business at Shop Hauteheaded, and it's Haute. And also on YouTube, you can follow me at Mariah Vittel as well. There you'll find a bunch of entrepreneur vlogs and just getting to know me a little bit better. What's to come is me basically just pouring into my audience even more and then showing them more of myself than I have previously. So yeah, I would definitely love for you guys to catch up with me. So yeah, thank you so much for allowing me on your platform. This was amazing, Ada.
Thank you for coming on. I'm excited for y'all to hear the gems because there's a lot of gems being dropped. So thank you again. And I wish you the best. 2021, make it a great year. I could definitely see Hauteheaded going big. Like it's different.
Thank you.
Yes, it's different. And I just love your brand. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And yeah, so that was the end of this episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to go ahead and follow me on my Instagram at Ada Ozuna. Follow me on my business page at Lights Collections and go ahead and shop. Make sure to go ahead and check out Mariah. She's super dope. Her brand is dope. And yeah, this was amazing. So stay tuned. Lots of different content coming up. So thank you guys so much for the support and the love. I'm going to catch you guys in the next episode. Ada out.